Hey guys, what's going on? Justin bossnasti Silva back again here for another episode of my Life Lessons video series. Episode 2 here, or just the next one. I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of matchmaking for competitive gamers. Now, real quick, matchmaking defined here from Wikipedia says, in multiplayer video games, matchmaking is the process of connecting players together for online play sessions. Now, for me, it's a decent definition, but I actually enjoy this one a little better here from giantbomb.com, more specifically what they say after their initial definition. Matchmaking is a technique which allows players or teams to be matched with others for the purpose of playing an online multiplayer game. Fascinating, pretty similar. But what really caught my eye, more specifically, was this. The main benefits of matchmaking are more competitive matches, the ability to search as a team and play another team, and variety in game configurations. Now, here's the kicker. The trade-offs include a long search time to find a good match and being unable to choose the exact map or game type to play. Now, I feel like as though this is a half-truth. And the reason why I say that is because if you're a competitive gamer and matchmaking is your source of how you maybe feel you're going to get your name out there, oh my gosh, you are dead wrong. Especially in a world where today's games, which once again we're referring towards team-based games, if I did not make myself clear on that, team-based games, more specifically team-based shooters, or at least for this episode specifically. When you look at games such as Halo, when you look at franchises like Call of Duty, Gears of War, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six series, there is all one thing in common. And what that is the lack of competitive leaderboards that specifically highlight competitive players. Today's leaderboards that we see are as such. What's your total score? Who has the highest points? Who has the most kills? These types of leaderboards are really ineffective because of the fact that there's so many of them. And when you have so many leaderboards like this, and I want to point this out too as well, because to my knowledge, the majority of games, I'm not even too sure, maybe I've just never checked, but I don't even know if Halo Reach even has leaderboards. And if they do, I've never even seen them. Maybe just because I never really took the chance to notice. But once again, when you have, for example, leaderboards that are going to thoroughly highlight competitive gamers, we're looking for leaderboards such as, your ELO rating. Right, that is one fantastic, great, universal way to establish who is the best players overall in the game for that region or just for the world itself. Having leaderboards such as, who team shoots the most, who has the highest team shooting percentage. That's another fantastic leaderboard. For maybe games like Call of Duty, maybe we look at things such as who has the most assists, right? Or maybe we look at things more so as, I guess you could potentially look at kill-death ratios. I don't really think that is probably the best way. I mean, yes, without a doubt, that is somewhat of a competitive factor that can go into a leaderboard. I'm not going to say it's not, but I'm sure that there are better ways to evaluate and to have a leaderboard to establish an esports skill set for games like Call of Duty who have just lower health, and even Rainbow Six too as well, who have lower health, that just takes fewer shots overall in order to get kills. They really aren't team shooting, concentrated as games like Gears of War and Halo. So what I really want to point out now is that if you're an individual and you're doing the matchmaking grind and you don't have a team, remember, you're a competitive player, right? I'm talking about people who actually want to make a living gaming, play professionally. They want to get up there. You are not going to reach the level of success doing that via the matchmaking individual grind because of the fact that there is no thorough way to really highlight yourself outside of doing live streaming. But let's be honest here. Most of the people who initially start live streaming without a user base, which once again is pretty much 99.99% of all competitive gamers, you need to establish a user base first. You need to establish awareness for yourself. And you're not going to do that by just doing the individual matchmaking grind. Or better yet, it's going to take you longer to do that than if you, I bet you this, if you were to focus on, like, for example, let's say that you had two competitive gamers who just started off playing a team-based shooter game. It doesn't matter which one it is. And let's say day one player decides, okay, hey, I'm going to do the individual matchmaking grind. And the other one decides, hey, you know what? I already have fundamentals and basics abilities in being able to play this shooter game, pointing and shooting. I would say that everyone pretty much has those basic fundamentals. I've never seen any individual alive yet that literally goes 0-20 every single game that calls themselves a competitive gamer and that is unable to get a kill in the entire world. I've never seen it yet. And I'm referring to people who just by basics at least have a 3-4 bar connection. I mean, sure, I could maybe understand if you have like the shittiest connection. I'm not really referring to those people. So with that in mind, we can safely conclude that everyone at least has the basics. Every shooter player at least has basics and fundamentals to point and shoot, to move around the map, even if maybe their movement isn't the best. They still understand, hey, I can go here, hey, I can go there, and hey, I need to point and shoot and pull my trigger when I see someone. So with that being said, I would rather I'd go with the person who decided to get a team right off the bat from day one, 10 out of 10 times, because that person is going to get a team. That person is then going to start practicing and training with that team. He's going to do things such as interviews and player recruitment to make sure that he finds people or she finds people that are on the same page as the individual is, as far as, hey, how are we going to practice? How are we going to train? When are we going to get on? When are we going to get off? What's our schedule going to be? These are all things that the individual who went to look for the team first is going to acquire within potentially maybe a month's time max, where this other individual is going to be doing this matchmaking grind without any effective leaderboard or tool to really highlight him as an individual, to get his name out there. And after this month's done, well, now this player has already recruited his team. Now he's practicing, he's training, he's doing team scrims. He's beating some of these teams, so he's getting some recognition for himself now. And he's, of course, potentially, doing these things such as expanding his social networks, which, of course, the individual guy is too as well. But he's not really doing it as good because of the fact that this other guy is actually beating teams. He's getting recognition by other teams. He's getting maybe more shout-outs of teams, where the individual isn't getting any shout-outs at all, or maybe he barely gets any, if not any at all, because once again, he's just doing the individual matchmaking grind. And I want to point this out. When you go into matchmaking, that's like saying, hey, I went to play with a group of randoms who all have this own free-for-all mentality, and I got matched up with a bunch of free-for-all guys. That's pretty much what matchmaking is when you search it by yourself. And I just really want to thoroughly point this out because I get people on a daily basis that come to me and they ask me for advice. And one of the first questions I always ask them is say, hey boss, how can I get better? How can I improve? I feel like I'm just not getting to the next level. And I say, okay, well, hey, my first question is to all these people who ask me for advice and how to get better and all these things. My first question always is, do you have a team? Do you have a team of 4 right now? And the majority, 99.99% of responses I get is no, they don't have a team. Some people say no, I'm by myself, or I'll get team of 2s or team of 3s, but they don't have a full team of 4. And once again, remember, when you're playing games such as Halo, when you're playing Call of Duty, when you're playing Gears of War, when you're playing Rainbow Six, you need a team of 4, right? This is just what the universal competitive team versus team player versus player size is right now. And so that's really my point, is that when you look at these games, there really is just no way to effectively promote yourself as an individual because the leaderboards are just fundamentally flawed, and the parameters for each individual leaderboard on these games, for the ones that have them, really aren't going to highlight the individual that well, and you're really not going to be able to get that much recognition from streaming either, unless, of course, you have a team and you're doing things that are going to get yourself recognized, right? It's cool if you want to go on YouTube and you want to, or whatever, and you want to try and be, the next, if I give people shout-outs, Wings of Redemption or Woody's Gamertag or Xjaws or some of these other people, right, who really started off very early on YouTube, and in a sense we could even say kind of monopolized the market of just going into matchmaking, playing games, and they just upload a clip, right? Then they just upload a match of them going, of them pretty much pub stomping. I mean, that's really what it is. They just upload pub stomping clips or videos while they do a commentary, or maybe they just do a voiceover. it, referring and just talking about maybe their daily activities or updates or announcements or whatever it may be, right? So I want to point out, man, it's going to be very difficult to do something like that as an individual if that is really your goal. But once again, right, you're a competitive gamer. I don't really know why competitive gamers would necessarily do that anyways. Or I guess I could understand why you might do that as an individual if maybe you're trying to get some recognition by showing people how good you are in matchmaking and doing the whole pub stomping thing. But the thing is, everyone doesn't really recognize pub stomping as much as they obviously once did back in the day. Right now, the communities, even though slowly but surely at a very molasses-like pace, have improved intellect and we're kind of getting to a higher standard, but it is still very slow, right? That's like us going from a 1 out of 10 to potentially a 1.1 out of 10, right? I mean, it's just such a small factor at the bigger scheme, bigger picture of things. So coming back full circle to this whole pros and cons for matchmaking, remember, you will get 10 times farther, 1,000 times farther. Instead of just giving numbers, all I can really say simplistically is it's going to be so much more effective and efficient for you as an individual to initially start looking for a team, while you can still play matchmaking in between, whenever you've stopped looking. Like if you spend a couple hours a day looking for a team, recruiting, talking to players, interviewing them, finding out these things about getting on the same page, and if they have the same qualities and characteristics that you're looking for the type of team you want to be on or maybe you want to create, this is where the focus and the priority needs to be. If you are a competitive gamer, once again, that's the key here, right? This is for competitive gamers. So 99.99% of all competitive gamers are still wasting their time on a daily basis doing the whole matchmaking grind. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not. Right? League of Legends, as you see right here, such a fantastic game that I will always refer to. Really good examples. They could even do more. But the great thing that they do is that, which is funny, is that even though it's a team-based game, even though 5v5 is the standard right now, they still do a fantastic job of highlighting the individuals right here in the solo 5v5 category. Look at this. I can look at the top 25 individuals and even more, but once again, we'll just talk about the top 25 here on the first page of the Season 2 5v5 solo ladder for North America. Then I can even look at the ladder for EU West and then EU Nordic East, and I can see the top 25 players. And you know what this is going to allow me to do? This is going to allow me to say, hey, look, I'm playing League of Legends competitively. Let me go look at maybe what some of these players are doing. Do any of them stream? Okay, let me go check. Google. Let me go into google.com and I can type in League of Legends player Silva, right, which is the number one guy here in North America currently right now. And then most likely it'll end up pulling up his Twitter or his Facebook or a Twitch stream or a website or a mention somewhere, right? And you're going to be able to go find out about these people's networks. And that's something that you really just can't effectively do in games such as Halo, Call of Duty, Gears of War, and Rainbow Six, because their ladders don't really focus primarily on competitive / esports, rankings, and I guess just leaderboards, or I guess skill sets, characteristics, whatever they want to refer to. And so that's my point, is that until these things start to happen, you really can't focus too much on the matchmaking grind. Right, I can understand when Black Ops 2 comes out, because I know Black Ops 2 is going to be implementing some things in there with the league play, and they're going to have leaderboards. Not too sure if they're going to allow the individual to really shine in the leaderboards like League of Legends does almost beautifully. Of course, they could still improve it even more. Like, a thing that League of Legends could do, and this is just an example for future developers and future games too as well, is that when I highlight over someone's name, if it popped up like their Twitch, their Twitter, and their Facebook, and then you could click and find those right away, that would be fucking the next fantastic, great step there for Riot to do, and even for these future game developers to do, to really recycle all the content and all the traffic so well into their game. And that even these are things that even Halo, COD, and Gears and Rainbow need to be doing on such a bigger level and even more consistent level too as well, if they really want to break in, because that's the future, my friends. Esports, it really is. Games are just going into this whole multiplayer competitive scene, and games like Black Ops 2, who are really taking, once again, if I just use a little quick history lesson here, Call of Duty used to be looked at as the game that was behind all the games on an esports competitive level. Right, Halo 4 or Halo games even had like the MLG playlist. Gears of War was, of course, even more consistently on the and played on the MLG Pro circuit, as well as other leagues as well, more consistently and at least longer than COD games were. Even Rainbow Six had such a very great long year long consecutive years with Vegas 1 and Vegas 2 being added to the pro circuit, as well as I think some other leagues and ladder sites picking it up as well. But Call of Duty never really had that consistent long run of where the game was on there for 2 or 3 years in a row like these other games have had. And now, with the implementation of what Black Ops 2 is bringing into the esports world, I mean, they've just lunged ahead so far, so much farther than any of the current Halo games, Gears, or even Rainbow Six games. And so, once again, this is just the point that I really want to make to people out there who are doing this kind of a matchmaking grind. I hope that you take something away from this video. I hope that you really grabbed on to the fact that you need to focus on getting a team and to have that be your main priority, with your secondary being playing matchmaking if you really just need to play it that much. But getting a team, finding a team is going to be your biggest focus, because as a competitive gamer, that's how you're going to be successful. That's how you're going to make a living gaming. That's how you're going to get somewhere in the team-based shooter genre. If you really, this is my thing, right? If you thoroughly enjoy doing the matchmaking grind and just playing by yourself all the time, go fucking play League of Legends. Right? Go play StarCraft. Go play something where they really allow for the individual to shine. Because I'm going to tell you this, I came across and talked to too many players who talk about, oh, I need to play matchmaking. Oh, matchmaking is just what I do 24/7. And for some odd reason, they just think that that's like the best option for them to do. And it's so weird. Or, I get this from Halo players a lot too as well. And I know this is almost the same with COD, and this could even be said maybe about Gears and Rainbow as well. But I get players that come to me and they say, well, boss, one of the things I always try and do as well is to get into custom games with top AM or pro players, or I'll just play like an MLG playlist 24/7 all day long. And the thing, once again, is that you're still not going to get any recognition from this, because you're still playing with, whether it's an MLG competitive like playlist or you're going into custom game with top AM pro players. You are, if the people that you're in custom games with don't stream all the time, how are you going to get recognition? Which the majority of them don't stream for these custom games, right? And even when you go into MLG playlist, you're still playing even there or custom game with a group of random individual players that are all thinking in their own mentality, and you're pretty much playing with a bunch of people who are in this FFA mentality. And so you just can't really rely on that, as the majority of people do. And I feel just so sad for individuals, for the 99.99% of competitive gamers that are still doing that type of matchmaking, custom game grind. Because at the end of the day, it's really getting you nowhere. And it's just so sad, but yet so funny, at least to me. Hopefully this video will shed some light on hopefully how to get there. And really, the easiest answer is stop doing the fucking matchmaking grind and go look for a team. Because a team's going to get you somewhere, not matchmaking. At least currently, right now, in the state that we're in. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, I am Justin Boss Nasty Silva, who does not fuck around with bitch niggas. Thank you so much, and I'll catch y'all next time.